So welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how I am in the process of becoming a registered dietitian and what made me decide to become a registered dietitian, what led me on this path, why I wanted to do it, and stuff like that. So this way it can be a video for those who are in the process of either trying to decide whether or not they want to become a registered dietitian, and if they are wondering what the process is like to make their choice whether or not this is something that they want to do. How I decided to become a registered dietitian, or at least on the path towards it. At the beginning, I wasn't for sure if I wanted to become a registered dietitian. I just knew I was interested in nutrition. In my first year of college, I decided to take a nutrition class. I had to choose between two because my exercise physiology degree that I was aiming towards required me to take at least one. So I took an introduction into nutrition, and that's where I think I started to really like it. I basically took that course and then found out that it was really interesting to me, and so I decided to take the other course as well. And then after taking those two courses, I decided to add it on as a minor, add a nutrition minor. And after adding a nutrition minor, I became a little more intrigued into how difficult it would be to add a nutrition major, or if it would be a lot more work added on for, because I was already taking one, I was already achieving one major, one degree, and I didn't know if it would add too much on to add another degree. I decided to add nutrition as a major. It would only add one more year, so I was 5 years instead of 4. Because mainly the science courses and the foundation courses were much the same between the two majors, that all I had to do was just focus on the nutrition classes. And so I decided to do that. And that became something that I was happy that I decided to do. Now, there were two different choices I could have done. I could have chosen just to stick with the nutrition science major, which is where you just take nutrition classes, but you don't go on to becoming a registered dietitian. So you finish out certain nutrition classes. You don't go into a lot of the scientific-based ones, like the nutrition and dietetics major does. So I chose the nutrition and dietetics major because that's the one that you take to become a registered dietitian later on down the road. So why I decided to become a registered dietitian was when I was little, well, not little, but when I was in high school, my mom had heartburn, and she decided to cut meat out for it was like a week or 21 days or something like that, enough to notice a difference, because she did a lot of research as to why she was having heartburn, and a lot of the stuff pointed towards meat and stuff like that. So she decided to cut that out, and then realized it helped her a lot. We went through a vegetarian stage altogether, and then ended up into a vegan diet for a few years. And we realized we felt better, we slept better, had more energy, everything just felt better. So we knew food types, like food choices that you make, could make a difference. When I got to college, it was kind of hard to keep that going on, so I stuck more to a pescatarian diet with chicken here and there. And then I just basically went, after learning more in my nutrition classes, I knew what I could focus on more. I didn't have to do like a specific diet or stuff like that, but I knew that if I focused on different food choices, I knew I could make sure that I felt better and had, better sleep and such. So I feel like another reason why I want to become a dietitian is I feel like not a lot of people touch on how food can be medicine. When you go to the doctor and something's wrong and you don't feel, right, or you've got an illness, or you just don't know what's going on and you want them to pinpoint it, they toss you all sorts of medicine. They don't really take their time with you. They're not personable. You feel rushed. You feel like you're not being seen. So I really want to be able to touch on being able to use food as a way to treat illnesses and as a way to figure out and diagnose what types of illnesses there are. One thing is medical nutrition therapy, which is part of what a dietitian does, and we can use that to help better understand with diabetes and the certain foods people need to eat with diabetes, and kidney diseases and other sorts of chronic illnesses. I also feel like it's also a growing topic. Functional nutrition, so that's a more holistic approach with food to illnesses. So this is such a growing thing that not a lot of people either know about it or they are unsure about it. It's new, so it's scary, and they are not for sure if that's something that they want to, look into because they don't know much about it. So I feel like as the more this becomes a thing and the bigger it grows, that more people will be inclined to investigate it and see if it's something that helps them. If they have some sort of chronic issue that they're tired of taking medicine and they want to see if food in their diet is helping or hurting them. So I want to basically get my functional certification for a nutritionist after I become an RD. And after I become a registered dietitian, I want to pursue PA school, because that's another way, so physician assistant, that's another way for me to reach out to people, not just becoming a registered dietitian, but I'll get more clientele with becoming a physician assistant. Now, physician assistant, you're not high ranking like a doctor. You're working under a doctor, but you can prescribe medication, you can see clients, patients, but you don't have to have the doctor right in the room with you. And it's not as long training with school. You don't have to go as long. It's like 3 years grad school. So that's another thing why I'm looking towards that. So my senior year of undergrad, I wanted to pursue a master's in nutrition as well as get an internship. So at East Carolina University, which is where I did my undergrad, they were doing a program where you could apply for a master's degree as well as an internship at the same time, and then if you got into both, you were guaranteed a spot in the internship in the second year. First year you do classes towards your master's degree, and then in the second year you would do your internship, which would also give you credits towards your master's degree, and after those 2 years you would be done and you would be graduated. So I applied for that. I got into the master's program, but I did not get into the internship program. I learned that I did not have enough volunteer experience to add on my application, because they're two separate applications. So you have the graduate school application for the master's degree, and then DICAS is a centralized application program for all dietetic internships. And there's some internships that don't use DICAS that you apply directly through them, but majority of the internships that people will look at are in the DICAS system, and that's what they use. So you go in and you upload basically put in your background and you answer questions. You put in your academic experience, you put in your volunteer experience, if you have any like academic experience with like research or anything pertaining to that. And then you go into D&D Digital, which is where you look and find the places that you want to match with, and you add them, and then you connect that to your DICAS application. And then after everything is filled out and all the boxes are checked, you then send that and you submit your application on DICAS. And it takes about, you typically have to do that in February, the beginning of February, and then after that's submitted, you won't find out until the beginning of April. And trust me, it's very, very frustrating and just irritating process. You want to make sure everything's right, and you want to know right away, but I mean, they have so many people applying that it takes time for each place that you have matched to or want to match with. It takes them time to go through the applications and decide. Now, they are very, a lot of the programs are very competitive and only have like 10 spots. Some have 12, some have even more. It just depends. But there's first round matching, and then if you don't get into first round matching, there's second round matching. If you don't get into second round matching, then you basically apply again in September and then find out in November if you got accepted in for the spring start season. So when I applied the first time and I didn't get into the internship, I waited a year and started my master's degree and program, and then applied again this past February. And in April, I found out I did not match with the places that I had selected, so I had to go into second round matching. And with second round matching, I looked around and went to see what places I could apply to, waited for people to contact me through email, and basically my name was put out on a list of second round applicants that did not get matched the first time. So that way, places that were looking for people to fill their spots that they didn't fill the first time, they could reach out to you, or you could reach out to them. They also released a list like on the third day of places that didn't have all their spots filled that were looking for people. So I did a Q&A. So after the first time I applied in 2020, and I learned that I didn't have a lot of information like volunteer experience mainly on my application. So I focused on trying to get nutrition-based volunteer experience on my application. So when I applied this past February, I'd have a more competitive application. And I was, told, and I thought that my volunteer experience had to be nutrition related only. So after I found out I didn't get in the first round, I talked with Meredith College and did a Q&A with them, and got to talk one-on-one, and found out that the reason I did not get accepted in to them on the first round was because my volunteer experience was empty. I told them that I didn't have anything in there because I thought it had to be nutrition related, and I hadn't had any nutrition related experience due to COVID not allowing people to go to places in person and shadow and volunteer. So she said, send me, your volunteer experience, just anything that you did in college, that it doesn't have to be nutrition related. As long as you had anything volunteer experience in college, you could have put that in the application. So send it to me through the email and I'll get back to you tomorrow. So I sent her to that, and then about 10 minutes later, I got a response back from her, and she had accepted me into the program. So I was so excited. Now, the type of program that I got accepted into, since I didn't get into their traditional program during the first round, I was in their Individualized Supervised Practice program, so ISPP. So that is where you have to find your own rotation sites. So I have to find clinical, food service, community wellness, WIC or public health, and then they have a enrichment week at the end of the semester. So that has to be at the end of the internship program, and you pick whatever you want to do and focus on as your enrichment period. And you have to come up with your own courses and modules to do. So I'm in the process of finding clinical rotation site, and I can tell you it has been a struggle. It's been a struggle contacting places and trying to get a response from them, or get in contact with somebody. So I've had to call places twice. But I'm really hoping that, and I know at some point I will get in. Once my clinical is secured, then I'll be able to find my food service and my public health, WIC, and community wellness rotations. This summer I have a checklist from Meredith, and I will be getting textbooks and making sure I am checking things off the list to do. There's clinical worksheets that I'll have to do, there's books I'll have to read, and I am just excited that I got in, and I know that it'll be a great internship experience. I'm excited, I'm looking forward to it. One of the things with the ISPP is you'll be able to live where you're at and then find places around there, so you won't have to move and live in an apartment somewhere else unless you're not able to find a site around you that is taking interns. So I hope that was informational for everybody. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will definitely get back to them. And if I'll be doing probably another one later on down the road, after I've gotten my rotations secured, and talk about the process that I had to do for that and how long it took for me to get them secured. And then probably an updated YouTube video about my experience starting the internship, probably do a day in the life in the internship, and a few other videos related to registered dietitian and trying to become a registered dietitian. One thing I did not talk about was that at the end of your internship, you will have to sit down and take an exam to become a registered dietitian. So that's typically, I think you have to wait like 2 or 3 months after your internship before you can sit down, but they have programs that you can use to help study and prepare for the examination. So that is one thing that I will be having to study for after the internship is over. But right now I'm just focused on trying to find rotation sites, get in, and I'm ready to get started. But like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will happily try to answer them to the best of my ability. And yes, that is all for this video. So don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe. There'll be more content like this and other content. And I will see y'all in the next video.